Good morning students. Welcome to the virtual classroom. We are studying about the chemical bonding. We have studied it in our different lectures related to the Lewis theory, dot structures, bondings, bond parameters. We studied it as an BACPR theory, that is for the geometrical shape of the molecules. But they are all having it as in certain limitations. Like when we talk about the Lewis theory shows us that there is a dot structure, that is hydrogen is bonded with another hydrogen atom by single bond. Fluorine it's bonded with another fluorine atom by single bond. There is an FF single bond, HH single bond. Now, if they are having it as a single bond between them, then the bond length, the distance between the two atoms should be identical, but it's not so. So that cannot be explained by the Lewis theory. Even might be the case that question arises that it might be because of the electronic configuration. Okay, let it be. That might be one of the reason. But the second problem, that is, they are having it as a single bond, right? Electronic configuration, when we are talking about it, they are having it as one electron shared between each of them. Then the bond dissociation enthalpy, the amount of the energy required to break that bond, that is known as bond dissociation energy, that should be same. Both of them are single bonded. Okay, now the question arises, sir, might be because of different atoms. Okay, let's take it as a molecule also. Carbon bonded with hydrogen, carbon bonded with chlorine atoms, right? Both of them, they are having it as a single bond, single electron. Central atom is same, carbon itself. Now the electronic configuration is same atom is there as a central atom. Still the carbon hydrogen bond or carbon chlorine bond, they are different, having different bond energies, they are having different bond lengths. Not only that much, they are, according to the this theory, it cannot be explained through the Lewis theory, but at the same time the shape we write it as, they are tetrahedral. Now both of them are having same tetrahedral shape. What about the theoretical explanation? Why they are having different bond lengths, different bond energies, while the shape is same? So neither Lewis was able to explain the chemical bonding, neither VACPR theory has any theoretical explanation related to the geometry of the molecules. So to overcome these problems of the theories that were given by the Lewis, or according to the VACPR theory that is given by Needham and Gillespie, this was being studied by the scientists and they wanted to overcome this problem. So they gave out the two new theories. We are going to study two theories. One is valence bond theory, which we are writing it as VB theory, and the second one we are having it as a molecular orbital theory, which we will study it in the form of MO theory. So we are going to study two different theories to overcome whatever the problems till now we studied it, the shapes or the bonding or the bond energies, why they are different in the different molecules, right? So one by one we will go through both these theories. So first of all we will study about molecular valence bond theory. First of all we will discuss about the valence bond theory. Now this theory, it is depending upon the theory depends on force of attraction in The theory depends upon the force of attraction and repulsion between the two atoms which are bonded with one another. So for that case, let us take it as an example that if atom A is bonded with atom B, then we are considering it as nucleus we indicate it as Ne, nucleus of atom B, we consider it as Nb, right? Similarly, electron of atom A, we indicate it as Ea, and electron of atom B, we indicate it as Eb. Then, what is the force of attraction or repulsion generated in them? So, for that case, the first of all, attraction forces between the atoms are due to the force of attraction between the atoms that are due to the first one. We indicate it as attraction between nucleus and electron of same atoms. That is, the force of attraction between the nucleus and electron of the same atom means we can say that there is a force of attraction of Na, Ea or Nb, Eb. Now why this happens? Nucleus is positively charged, electron is negatively charged. Nucleus attracts the negative charged electron, that is the outermost electron that we know it. The nucleus attracts the electrons of its orbitals. So there may be a force of attraction of the nucleus towards its own electron. So we wrote it as an Na or Nb, that is force of attraction between the same atoms. The second, we can have it as attraction between nucleus and electron of different atoms. That is, Na attracts Eb or Nb attracts Ea. That is, nucleus of one atom attracts the electron of the another atom, or nucleus of the another atom attracts the electron of the first atom. So there may be two possibilities of the forces of attraction. The second factor, that is repulsion forces between the atoms are due to first, repulsion between two electrons, that is Ea, Eb. Because they are of like charges, they are having same charge, both these electrons are negatively charged. So when the same charge are coming closer to one another, there is a possibility of repulsion in an atoms. So repulsion between the two atoms having same electrons, or repulsion between two nucleus of different atoms, that is Na, Nb. The repulsion that is created between the two nucleus, because the nucleus are of again same charge, both of them are positively charged, there is a possibility that the force of attraction, force of repulsion may be generated between them and make those two electrons, two nucleus to move away from each other. As a result, now because of the force of attraction and repulsion, we can say that those atoms, when they are coming closer to one another, where the force of attraction is maximum, when the force of attraction is maximum compared to that of the force of repulsion, the bond formation takes place. The distance where force of attraction is maximum and force of repulsion is minimum. The force of attraction is maximum and the force of repulsion is minimum. At that distance, the energy is released. That energy is known as bond enthalpy. That means that is the distance, that is bond length, the distance at which the force of attraction is maximum. That means the bond formation has taken place. That is known as bond length. And at that distance, a very large amount of the energy is released during the formation of bond. The bond formation is taking place. So the amount of that energy will be required to break that bond when we want those atoms to be taken at infinite distance. So that energy that is released during the formation of bond, it's known as bond enthalpies. So like that, with the help of valence bond theory, we can explain how the bond formations or bond enthalpies in the molecules are taking place. Right? Okay. Within that, the theory, we have it as another factor, that is overlapping of the orbitals. Now when we told that these are having a force of attraction or force of repulsion, then how the overlapping of the orbitals will be taking place? We will be having it as an overlapping of the orbitals. When we are talking about the overlapping of the orbitals, these overlapping of the orbitals can be positive, negative or zero, right? Depending upon the bond formation, the overlapping of the orbitals during the bond formation. The overlapping, it's divided into three types. Positive, negative, zero. We can have it as a positive overlapping, negative overlapping or zero overlapping. Now it depends upon how the orientation of the orbitals that are coming to closer to one another during the bond formation. So to understand that thing, it depends upon the signs that are being indicated for overlapping of the orbitals, right? They are not the mathematical values. They are simply signs to indicate the type of overlapping of the orbitals. So don't consider it as a plus sign or minus sign indicated in the orbitals as a mathematical values, right? Neither they are the charges. They are neither the same charge that we can say that there will be a repulsion or attraction. It's a simply signs to show the orientations of the orbitals or overlapping of the orbitals. Let us understand it by the help of the diagram so that you can understand it in more detail. The first one, we'll go it for positive overlapping. Now, here we are studying it, the overlapping restricted to the s and p orbitals only. We are not having any details of the d and f. We are having only for s and p orbitals. So we will discuss only related to the s and p orbitals. Right? Now, when we are talking about the overlapping of the orbitals, we first of all take it as pz. Pz means your electron is revolving in the z-axis. I'm putting it as plus and minus sign, that are the positive or negative lobes, right? We are not having any mathematical signs. This is what I was saying it. We don't have any mathematical values. They are simply to indicate plus and minus charge. This is the one orbital that is going to combine with the pz of the second atom, plus and minus, right? Now when these two are getting attracted towards the one another and they are generating a force of attraction by overlapping each other, at that time the two positive signs, these are the positive lobes that are overlapping one another. Two positive are overlapping one another, so we are considering it as an positive overlapping of the orbitals, right? Okay, that is your first possibility. The second, if we are having it as an suppose s orbital, we know that s are spherical, we always get it as an plus sign only. So when they are overlapping each other, we are going to get it as an plus only. We don't have minus sign for that because it's a spherical. But in place of that, if we take it as an pz with s orbital, we are having it with a s orbital, and in that case the overlapping is taking place from the positive only. So we consider it as plus overlapping of the orbitals, right? Now we took it as pz and s, right? Let's have it as an suppose py orbital or px orbital that are going it for the overlapping. Now if we are having it as an px, then if I show it like this, plus minus, then these two orbitals, they overlap each other when they are having it as an same sign. Both the positives are on same side, so we consider it as positive overlapping. Similarly, if we are having it as an py orbital, I am putting it as an somewhat slanting, right? This is our main axis. I am having it as an another one, plus one, and if these orbitals, they also overlap with same signs, then we consider it as all these are as an positive attractions or positive overlappings, right? In place of that, okay, now the question arises, sir, in this case why won't we give it as negative? Negative is not because of the sign of the negative. When you will be having it as an opposite orbitals that are combining with one another, then we will consider it as negative, right? So here we are having like lobes of the orbitals that are overlapping each other, so we consider them as positive overlapping. Let's take it as the example of negative overlapping. The second one, the negative overlapping. Let's take it as pz first of all, as we took it for positive overlapping. Same way I am going it for all the 5 different orbitals overlapping for negative. How we are going to get it? Pz, this is minus, plus, we got it as another pz with minus plus, and the overlapping that is taking place between them. Now here it's a plus, this one is minus, so opposite signs are there, and therefore we consider it as negative overlapping. When we were having it as in same sign, we consider it as a positive overlapping. Here plus and minus, right? Now for s and s, we can't have it as a negative. For s and s orbital, both of them are having only positive spherical, so we can't have it as a negative lobes for them. For p, z and s, Now for S and S we don't have it, but for PZ and S. Now if I take it as an PZ, this is minus plus and this is our plus. If they are overlapping one another, at that time the overlapping took place between plus and minus sign. These are the opposite signs. Then we consider it as negative overlapping. The third one, that we take it as Px Py, Px Px or Py Py, Px plus minus, but when they overlap each other, at that overlapping we are having plus minus, minus plus, opposite signs are there which are overlapping each other, right? Py, we get it as plus minus, but when the overlapping takes place, it's a minus plus, plus minus. Two opposite signs are there. Therefore, we consider it as a negative overlapping of the orbitals. So that means for the positive overlapping, there is a possibility of S and S, that is an additional. For rest of them, we get it as the four of them. The third one, that is zero overlapping. Now, zero overlapping is possible either between the PP orbital, it's an identical, or PS orbital. So let's take it as PS, P orbital with S orbital. We are having it as an plus minus spherical, and it's getting it as an overlapping in between, right? We consider it as zero overlapping because whatever the addition or subtraction is there, it's been nullified. So we consider it as zero overlapping. Same way, when PP orbital, they don't overlap each other. If I'm putting it plus minus signs for it, and they don't overlap each other, they remain far away from one another. At that time, this type of an overlapping, we consider it as a zero overlapping of the orbitals. So that means the overlapping of the atomic orbitals, they depend upon the orientation, they depend upon the wave function, positive or negative. It's not again I am repeating it, they are not the mathematical values. They are simply showing it as two lobes, one with a positive and one with a negative sign, right? So they depend upon the orientation of their orbitals. Okay, is it clear? Okay, the next one we are having it, that is related to the types of overlapping and the nature of the covalent bond formed between the atoms. Now, what type of overlapping and what type of an nature of bond that will be formed while these type of overlappings are taking place. We saw it that the overlapping of the orbitals are going to take place, but what type of a bond formations will take place? Nature of the bond formation. So, nature of bond formation, we are having it as in two types. One is sigma and the second one is pi bond. When the overlapping of the orbitals are taking place, we get it as two types of bonds, sigma and pi bond. Now, what is sigma bond? What is sigma bond? When the atomic orbitals overlap to each other in such a way that axis remains parallel to each other, axis remains parallel to each other and perpendicular to the internuclear axis. They are when you are having it as an the covalent bond formed between the end-to-end overlapping, I just gave out the answer of pi bond. Sigma bond, that is end to end overlapping of the orbitals. When you are having it as an end-to-end overlapping of the orbitals, we consider it as an sigma bond, right? During this case, they are having it as an internuclear axis overlapping one another. These type of bonds are also considered to be as an head-to-head overlapping or axial overlapping. They are also considered as axial overlapping of the orbitals, right? What are this? How they are formed, or which orbital shows it? When you are having SS, S orbital is spherical, another S orbital. When they are going it for overlapping, head to head, they form sigma bond. So SS orbital produces sigma bond. The second one is S and P orbital. S and P orbital also goes for sigma bond formation, overlapping of the orbitals. You can have it as an PP orbitals also. Both these orbitals, they also go it for sigma bond formations. So you can have it as an SS, SP or PP orbitals going it for sigma bond formations. Now in place of that, the second type that we are having it is a pi bond. That is, the overlapping of the orbitals, they are taking place in a parallel axis and perpendicular to the orbitals. That means you can get it as these orbitals in the form of only one PP orbitals. They overlap each other, their axes are there, they remain parallel to each other but in a perpendicular direction, and they produces the overlapping of the orbitals with a certain angles on it. They overlap each other. Then such type of attractions are also known as side-by-side attraction. In certain cases, this can also be shown. It can also be shown like this. They two are overlapping each other by side attraction. They are overlapping each other. Then this type of bond that is formed is known as pi bond. Okay, now when you are having it as a sigma bond or pi bond, then it depends upon the strength also. That these sigma and pi bonds, they have different types of force of attractions. When you are having it as a sigma bond, they are overlapping to each other by end. As a result, there is a maximum overlapping of the orbitals. Being in maximum overlapping of the orbitals, they are having maximum force of attraction between them. And so sigma bonds are stronger compared to that of the pi bonds, because pi bonds are having minimum overlapping of the orbitals, right? So strength of the orbitals can also be explained by the overlapping factors. So strength, when we are talking about it, we know that we are having sigma and pi. Sigma are stronger, pi are weaker. On the basis of that, you can say that when you are having in multiple bond formations taking place, your first bond will be always sigma bond. First bond that will be formed will be always sigma. Second and third will be the pi bonds, right? Okay, that's all for this particular VP theory. A first part that we studied it. In the second part we will study about the hybridization of the orbitals, right? We will see it how this hybridization is going to help us, or the theoretical explanation for the VSEPR theory, right? We just on the starting of the chapter, no, this topic we told that Lewis theory and VSEPR theory, two theories are having a limitation. We saw it that how the Lewis theory was being explained. Now how VSEPR theory, that is a geometrical shape that is on the basis of the hybridization, we'll do it in our next lecture. Thank you.